Guys, welcome back to the channel. On this video I will be comparing my eBay budget R18 Honda Civic turbo kit to the full race turbo kit, so stay tuned and keep watching. Guys, if you're part of the R18 group, if you want to boost your 8th gen Honda Civic R18 engine, there's one company that does it all. They have the best kit on the market, and that company is Full Race. Full Race is a high quality company. They manufacture top-notch parts and products, and they have a tested, proven R18 turbo kit bolt-on for your vehicle. And we're going to be comparing their turbo kit, specifically the turbo, to our eBay budget R18 TB25 turbo kit that we mocked up here. And I'll tell you guys, our turbo kit is less than half the cost of the Full Race turbo kit, and I got smiles for days running this kit like this. Alright guys, right over here we got a few turbos also that we will be comparing to the R18 Full Race turbo kit, the TB25 turbo kit. For example, the GT2871 turbo right here with a forged compressor propeller. We're going to be talking about the one we have on the R18, which is right here, the TB25 by Amusa eBay turbo, and we'll also compare the GT28 to the T3 T4 Amusa special. Alright, first things first, Full Race website, guys. They have a whole write-up on the turbo kit, all the facts, and what are the pros and cons of turboing the R18 Civic. They are pushing a Borg Warner 5258 turbo for these kits. That's their entry level. Ball bearing turbocharger, we'll be comparing their ball bearing turbocharger sizes to our eBay turbo sizes here. But one thing I do want to mention is at 10 pounds of boost on their turbo kit, they put down 255 horsepower and 228 pound-feet of torque. Now, most likely, I believe this is crank, not to the wheels. But regardless, it's a great number, it's a great curve, and it's a great power band. So, what makes the Full Race turbo a little bit different than the eBay TB25 turbocharger? Well, frankly, it's the size, right? If you look at the compressor and the turbine side, right? And the compressor side is the cold side of the turbo that sucks in all the cold air into the engine, right? So these are both compressor sizes, and these are turbine sizes. So all the hot exhaust gases that spool up go through the turbines right over here. So if we look at the compressor sizes on the Full Race turbo, the inducer, which is, I believe, the one part of the blade in the front, is 49.6 millimeters. Comparing it to the eBay turbo, 42.92. So it's quite a bit smaller than the inducer on the Full Race kit. And comparing it to the exducer, it is also a little bit smaller. Running it back to the turbine size, Full Race kit, inducer's 58 millimeters. eBay TB25 is 53 millimeters, so much smaller again, as well as the turbine exducer for the Full Race is 51 millimeters, 46.22 millimeters on the eBay turbo. So the eBay turbo is a good blend for instant power, low to mid-range power, and yes, I've noticed it does peak a little bit towards redline. It kind of loses some steam, and looking at my intake air temperatures, I do get a lot of heat buildup. My IATs kind of skyrocket past 5,000 RPMs just because we're probably running this eBay turbo out of its efficiency range, whereas a bigger turbo with bigger inducers, exducers on the compressor and turbine side, specifically the turbine side, would help flow much better, and it wouldn't heat up and generate as much heat as the eBay TB25. Now, this kit, again, 255, 230 wheel torque. This kit with these specs on an automatic transmission, I'll be happy if we're running around 170 to 180 wheel horsepower. So that's wheel. If you calculate that to crank horsepower, we may be talking probably about 200 to 215 crank horsepower, which is still pretty good, pretty impressive. With my automatic transmission, it works like a charm real fun to drive. I wish it was a stick shift, but we're working with what we got and we're moving along quite well with it. Alright, so this is again the eBay Turbo Kit, which doesn't have the best parts compared to the full race kit. For example, the full race kit comes with a bigger mass airflow sensor housing, which is going to allow you to run more boost. Also, this is just the basic cheap blow-off valve. Full race Turbo Kit comes with a proper sized turbo, a better blow-off valve. All the fabrication is top notch. The fit and finish is much better. Right over here you see how restrictive that downpipe is on this eBay kit. The full race kit actually has a better manifold, a much better flowing exhaust downpipe, and again, it's just a better kit overall. But is it better for the money? Can you have fun with the eBay Turbo Kit? And the answer is absolutely. So if you're not familiar, man, I started this build from scratch. Started doing a lot of research on turbochargers, how everything works, tuning. I started tuning this car while it was naturally aspirated, trying to get used to the parameters and the effect it has on the engine. So then once I did boost it, I am able to adjust those parameters, and so far I've been tuning it. It's been running great and I'm really happy about it. So you might be asking yourself, what if I don't want an eBay TB25 turbo? What if I want something bigger because the TB25 is too small? But at the same time, I don't want to buy a Borg Warner 6258 turbo, ball bearing and all that and spend about $1,000 on a turbocharger. What other options are there? Well, to be dead frank with you guys, if you guys want a direct bolt-on installation, your best bet is the eBay TB25 turbocharger because of how everything fits. With the downpipe, everything is still super tight, but it works. It mates up to your factory S-pipe in the exhaust, and you don't really have to worry about too much. Honestly, very easy install for the turbo. The hardest part was probably tapping the oil pan and running the intercooler piping so everything fits. But once that's clear, everything is pretty smooth. But you do have a couple options, and I got 2 turbos in the back that I'm going to talk to you guys about, and the pros and cons of those turbos, and potentially you can run those turbos, but you will need modifications to make it work. Alright guys, the next turbo we have here is sponsored by Max Speeding Rods. It is a street racing turbo, the GT2871 turbo. It has a aluminum compressor impeller blades, machined, forged, which makes it efficient, lightweight, resists high temperatures and braking. Kit. And this turbo right here is the eBay special Biomusa. It's a T3 T4 turbocharger. These things run really cheap. You can probably get this turbo for $100. Comparing it to the Max Speeding Rods full race turbo kit here, this one's about $350. And again, the TB25 that I have in the vehicle right now, and I'll be overlaying some videos of the TB25 turbocharger when I was first installing it. The TB25 costs about $250, right? So let's go ahead and start again. $100, $250, $350. So what's the difference between all these turbochargers, and can you mount a T3, T4 on the Civic? Well, the difference is this has a T3 mating plate. And what does that mean? What does a T3 mean? The T3 mating plate is the actual mounting surface that goes into your manifold. As you can see, this is a T3, which is pretty dang big compared to this turbo. Even though this turbo will create more power, look at the inlet, it is smaller. This is a T25 turbo flange. This is a T3 flange. So T3 flanges support more exhaust flow, more boost. But if you want to run this turbo with the T3 flange, you will need an adapter from a T25 to T3 adapter, because the manifold, the turbo manifold that we are running right over here, has a T25 flange. So we can't just bolt up this T3 flange onto the T25 flange. We need that adapter. And then once you can get a downpipe fitted to this turbo, because again, this is not going to clear your AC compressor. If you don't have an AC compressor, then you have nothing to worry about, because it will clear and you can run a straight pipe out. But again, you will need a custom pipe coming off the turbo in order to clear your AC compressor if you want to keep it. And this turbo right here, the GT28, it will bolt on directly into that manifold, and that's why I'm planning possibly on running this turbo if everything works out, because we will have a much bigger top end with this turbo compared to the TB25 turbo. If you look right over here, if you look over here, the exhaust wheel is much bigger. We'll be able to flow a lot more airflow at higher RPMs. Also, the wastegate port is much bigger here, so it'll diverge a lot more gases towards redline. Right over here, same thing, except this one you will need you can buy adapters for this for an internal wastegate. Here the internal wastegate already comes installed. Here you would have to buy an adapter with the internal wastegate, or you can also run an external wastegate if you're good with fabricating and whatnot. So let's talk about these two specs of these turbos real quick, just to compare. So the T3, T4, let's talk about the size of this. As you can see, the compressor side right here has an aspect ratio of AR50. And the hot side, which is again the bottom side where all the exhaust gases go, has an AR of 0.63. This is a pretty good spec size turbo for mid-range to top-end power for our application. And comparing it to the GT28 Max Speeding Rods turbo here, it's a little bit bigger. The compressor is actually a 0.60 and the turbine is a 0.64. So this, again, this is meant to support up to 400 horsepower. So you do want bigger AR numbers both on the compressor side, both on the turbine side. So again, this turbocharger, the TB25 we have on the vehicle, supports probably 200 to 250 horsepower at the maximum. This turbocharger will probably support roughly between 250 to 350 maximum. And the GT28 right here, if everything's done right, you got 400 horsepower on this turbo, which again, don't get me wrong guys, this R18 Civic probably cannot see more than 250 wheel horsepower because the internals are stock. It has an automatic transmission that will blow gears and torque converters through the roof of this thing. So me putting this on is possible. If it is possible, we're going to be running low boost. We're probably going to switch the wastegate that we have on the TB25, which is a 5-pound modified wastegate, and we're maxing that wastegate out around 7 psi at peak. I really want to put this GT28 on there. The only problem is clearing that AC bracket, AC compressor, and this bracket, even though this is a 5-bolt bracket, exhaust flange, it is much different than the 5-bolt exhaust bracket on the TB25 Musa kit. This is much different, so it won't fit in and it might not clear. So there's two ways we can do it. We can do an up pipe, you know, maybe if my buddy Chopper is down, we can fabricate a down pipe going up through the roof here, which would be kind of crazy and really won't be good for a daily driver at all, with the rain coming in, snow, water, whatnot. Or we can maybe somehow customize a pipe that goes down, and at that point with the bigger turbo, I don't mind running it open down pipe straight from the turbo. But something has to be done, otherwise we're just gonna burn off. If we have no down pipe, it's just gonna burn off all this electrical on the AC and condenser, AC compressor. Guys, go check out Max Speeding Rods online. They offer many products at an affordable price: connecting rods, crankshaft, turbochargers, coilovers. We're rocking their coilovers, and soon maybe this GT28 turbocharger. So go check them out, give them a shout out, use the link below, and you do get a 15% discount as well for anything that you purchase. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it's a lot of information, probably some of these numbers you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's okay. Watch this video over again, do some research and watch it over again. It'll make some sense. I'm really excited for the future of this channel. I've never thought I'd have so many turbos, one installed on the car and running well, and two right over here with sponsors to the channel. Again, we talked about the T3, T4, we talked about the GT2871, we compared the full race kit versus the eBay kit, and again, I saved so much money by running a eBay turbo, and it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it to run that turbo, because I learned so much through this build. I didn't I bought everything secondhand or budget. I just am really happy everything worked out. I'm really blessed that nothing broke right now. I learned so much that future projects on this channel, if we're blessed, will be much better and more exciting. So subscribe to the channel, comment which turbo I should throw on the Civic next, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater too. I'ma put a ride on ya. Kid from California, trying to make it in life. In school they never taught ya. Dreams